As part of the activities celebrating Nigeria's 64th independence anniversary, the federal government has handed over 64 compressed natural gas CNG buses to representatives of the Trade Union Congress TUC, Nigerian Labour Congress NLC, and National Association of Nigerian Students NANS. The handover took place on Sunday at the State House Conference Center in Abuja to mark the beginning of a broader initiative to introduce the rollout of over 700 CNG buses nationwide. Of the 64 buses distributed today, the Labour Union received 40, while the Students' Union got 20, with the remaining 4 allocated to the Federal Capital Territory. Leading the delegation, coordinating Minister of the Economy and Minister of Finance, Wale Edun, highlighted that the initiative supports mass transit and aims to reduce the financial burden on the poor and vulnerable. The minister added that this effort is also part of President Bola Tinubu's plan to elevate impact of the fuel subsidy removal and provide Nigerians with cheaper, cleaner energy alternatives for transportation. Also, the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, who was part of the government delegation, announced that this distribution is just the start of a broader plan of the government elevate hardship in the country. In addition, the Minister of Budget and National Planning, Atiku Bagudu, highlighted the financial backing for the CNG initiative. It disclosed that 130 billion naira has been allocated in the 2024 budget to support the CNG transition, adding the public sector investment is expected to reach 250 billion naira by next year to further encourage private sector participation. He added that the country's CNG production capacity is growing, with many parts of Nigerians already using CNG as an alternative fuel source. With this initiative, the government hopes to accelerate the adoption of CNG across the nation, providing a more affordable, sustainable transportation option for all Nigerians.
Here we are today with the buses around us. It is impossible to have all the buses that we require, the PC or the CNG buses here, but we have about 64 of them to commemorate the 64th independence anniversary of our great nation. I thought we'll have a clap here at this point. We have various forms of types of buses. We have the 100-seater and we have the lower seaters, all of them about 64. Now, this is the necessary first step that the President is unveiling to Nigerians, to have these buses run through the streets of our cities from today. As we live here today, expect to see the CNG buses plying not just the routes of Abuja, but the routes of all the major cities and crannies of this country. And I want us to know that, yes, it is possible that some will say, how many are 64 buses? I want to reiterate that this is just the necessary first step that the government is unveiling. Already, about over 600 of these buses, CNG buses, have already been ordered. Many have.
To intervene on the side of the poor and the most vulnerable in the aftermath of what we all knew were necessary macroeconomic reforms to set the country on the path of economic stability that would allow investment, that would increase productivity, grow the economy, create jobs, and achieve his overall aim for Nigerians, a better life, reduction of poverty. So, this promise kept is here symbolically presented as 64 buses, of course, on our 64th anniversary. And so we have several hundred, about over 500 CNG buses, roughly 100 electric vehicles on their way, on order, and being delivered by the day. And as we have said, from today, the rollout will begin. But this day also marks another important element of the President's policies. It is a transition. It's a transition that makes sense for Nigeria at this time to and our own contribution to climate change, a transition to cleaner fuel, definitely. But most importantly of all, is a transition to cheaper fuel for Nigerians. And particularly, as we can see, the emphasis is on mass transit. The emphasis is on intervening on the side of workers so that they have cheaper transport that helps them cope with the increased price level generally, which
is CNG buses to the TUC and the NLC. This gesture is not only a welcome support for our unions, but also a clear reflection of the renewed hope agenda, which seeks to improve the welfare of Nigerians. The introduction of these CNG buses come at a critical time as a cheaper alternative to premium motor spirit, PMS. CNG presents a more affordable, sustainable, and environmentally friendly solution. The buses will reduce the transportation costs for our workers traveling to and from their working places. This step forward brings us closer to a future where both workers and the planet benefit from such forward-thinking policies, which is commendable. However, while we deeply appreciate this donation, we must acknowledge a concern. The number of buses provided is not fully proportional to the needs of the workforce. With 36 states, for instance, across the Federation, and a large population of workers under the TUC and the NLC, we urge the government to do more. The current number of buses, though appreciated, is not enough to...
The CNG buses. I want to believe that it's just the takeoff, that clearly we will get more buses. Certainly, if we get more buses, the effect will translate immediately. And once it translates, I keep saying it, most times when we have tension with people in government, I have the privilege also that I have shared part of being in government. I whisper to them that the Nigerian people are easy people to deal with. If people start entering these buses and start having the effect, they'll be shouting it in their neighborhood. They are not like contractors, which if people pay their money, they will not talk, so that those that are owing will not come to talk. The day you will pay money, salary, everybody in the neighborhood will know that salary has been paid. In fact, one governor once told us that he knows that salary has been paid from traders who text him to thank him because the workers are coming to buy. That's the thing with the working people. Once we started using the buses, we'll be talking about it wherever we are. We will not keep quiet.
Gentlemen of the press, thank you all for making this special occasion. And I want to assure you that the Presidential CNG Initiative steering committee and management are fully committed to helping to ensure the execution of the President's vision to transition Nigeria from expensive, unreliable PMS and diesel to cheaper, safer, and more reliable compressed natural gas fuel transportation. Since our founding, exactly 1 year ago, when Mr. President announced the Presidential CNG Initiative, we've been able to move the nation forward in a positive direction. For one, there were just 7 conversion centers in Nigeria this time last year. Today, we can boast of over 125 convention centers across Nigeria.
The social